Hi everybody, this is just a video about my first bit of scenery on the model railway. Now this is a technique I got out of the Model Railroad magazine. If you can see all these pegs behind me, this is there's going to be two bridges here coming across in a cutting on the railway, and I've had to, the reason I did this is my trap hatch, this is up in my loft. My trap hatch is here, so I had to narrow the railway tables at this point. You can see the depth of the tables was right out here for the stairs coming up the trap hatch. You know, my lad's disabled, so I had to make the access as big as possible. Anyway, now this is the lattice work method on the railway. So if you imagine, I'm going to do a trestle bridge here, so I'm doing an American railroad. So the method in the magazine is you make a lattice work of cardboard, so it's cardboard strips, you staple it on at each end to make it rigid, and then you just glue a lattice work of cardboard in. I'll bring you a bit closer. A lattice work of cardboard. Now this would be part one. This is Logans Crack. That's my son's name, so we thought we'd make that up. It's funny. You just staple it at each end, and then with some PVA glue, glue every joint and stick it with a load of pegs. I've done this about half an hour ago, and then you just take all your pegs off and you're left with a semi-rigid cardboard frame. And then after that, when this is all dry, part two will be me covering this with plaster of Paris. And what we do is you cut up, get the cheapest tissue paper you can find, cut it into small squares, about 2-3 inches square. Get yourself a little tub, make up a little bit of plaster of Paris, because in room temperature you've got about 10 minutes working time. You don't want it too runny, you don't want it too stiff. And this will be part two. So you get yourself set up with a nice bit of newspaper underneath on the floor, your pot of plaster of Paris, your squares of tissue, you dunk tissues in, put it on the trellis work. Now you want to do 2 or 3 layers of tissue, and that gives you a nice solid base for your stone rock work. Now I'll show you a bit of my old railway. Now this is what you're looking at. So behind there you can see your tissue. This was a section, I think this was at my last trestle bridge on my last railway. So you make your lattice work up, do your plaster of Paris over the top, and then you can buy, or you can make yourself, latex rock molds. So what you do is you've got your plaster of Paris has all gone off, and then you pour your plaster of Paris into your rock mold, and before it sets you spray some water on here with a bit of fairy liquid on, so it sort of reactivates the surface of the plaster of Paris. Then you hold your stone onto your surface, and this is hard enough that you can push against it, and you mould your rock work onto your hillside. So you can do as many pieces of rock as you like, and then the joints between it you blend it all together with a bit more plaster of Paris. So part one is your lattice work. Now part two, try and get on for next week, is I'll put the camera on and show you doing a bit of plaster of Paris in. And then part three will be pressing some rock moulds. Now I made my own rock moulds. I went and found a couple of bits of stone off the beach out of the garden. I brought a pot of latex, get a bottle of latex from Hobbycraft. It's a bit laborious painting. You paint several layers of latex on. Have I got the latex mold? Hold on, I'll get you. This is the latex moulds I'd done of some buildings that I bought some buildings, and before I made them I copied them with some latex. So you just pour your plaster of Paris in. Now this is how crap the models are in England. I'm diverting off of the scenery subject for the moment, but this is how crap the buildings are. You get plaster of Paris castings, you stick them together. You've got to make good all the bloody joints. That's why I bought the 3D printer. That's why I bought the 3D printer. That's how it comes off of the printer. That's a observatory. Every one I make, I try and make another one so I can pass it on to somebody. That's had its first coat of paint. Anyway, we're going back to the latex molds. I do tend to diverse. Anyway, so you can make your own latex molds if you don't want to go to Hobbycraft and pay 10-15 quid for one mould. You can spend 20 quid on a bottle of latex and make your own molds, and out of that one pot you probably get 20 molds. So you can stick your rock on, you can turn it all around different ways and whatever. So for one mould you get about 4 or 5 different castings, but if you've got 4 or 5 different moulds you can add all those different castings in and get all those different shapes. Anyway, I'll strip all the pegs off of here, and the glue's not quite gone off here so I can't move on to the next stage, but I'll do a video of the next stage of doing the plaster of Paris in. It's the quickest and easiest way of doing it, rather than doing chicken wire, having to buy the chicken wire, then doing the paper mache or plaster of Paris over the top of that. This is so solid, and it gives you an open framework underneath to stick your trees in and whatever. And this I'm gonna 3D print a bridge across the back, and I'm gonna build a trestle bridge across the front. We'll do videos of that as we get along. The railway's had its first run of a complete circuit this week. I've obviously taken that, so I've got a temporary section in here for the bridge, but as you can see behind me, yeah, it all ran very well, apart from my son bought this, I don't know if you can see it there, a Morning Daylight, which is a massive big engine. In the instructions, now you need to look at this when you're planning your railway, it came with a minimum radius curve. So when you're building, because obviously in England we're so short of space, you need to factor in the radius of your curves. Now as you see over here, this is a section I built it, that curve is way too tight for the Daylight to get around the corner. So I've opened the curve up. I'm going to have to re-put the track bed on. But this bend here, this is too tight. This is only temporary because that'll open up as it comes onto the trestle bridge, so it won't be such a tight radius. I've got all my inclines in. All the buildings had to move as we were fitting the track. This is the first bit of scenery. I wanted to start on Logans Crack first because it's more likely where the engines are going to derail and fall off the track. So I wanted to get this built up and get a decent bridge in here, because this is just temporary. Anyway, that's part one of hillside making. Okay, bye.